Oh, the wind. It's always with the wind. Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. I want to recommend a new book series that I've been reading that I've been quite pleased with. And then we're going to look at some of my early spring photos. It is May 8th as I'm recording this, it's May 9th as I'm recording this, but I've gotten a couple rolls back from, April into May. And as the seasons change, the kinds of photos I take change as well. And I just thought I would go through some of these pictures. We're going to have, of course, hashtag #AskStuffandThings, where I answer your questions, comments, and feedback. And then we will end the show, as usual, with our Patreon shout-outs and updates. I've had a couple of people say that in this intro section, I should talk more about what's been going on in my life, give little, life updates. I think that's kind of what Sunday Stuff and Things is anyway, but I will take that feedback. What have I been doing recently? Work has been pretty slow. We are in the process of getting a bunch of jobs lined up. So I've had some days off, more than I would like, but we're going to be getting very, very busy pretty soon. So things are going to get a little bit more stressful, a little crazy this summer. I somehow managed to drain my car battery. That was annoying. So I don't know how this happens. I have a Volkswagen Rabbit. It's not that old. It has power everything, power door locks, power windows, power everything. But for some reason, it does not turn off the headlights if you have not had the key in the ignition for a while. Like, you take your key out and the headlights will still be on. And the problem with my car is that the headlights are always on anyway. Even if I don't turn the headlights on, they are on when you're driving. So the only thing it really does is just turn on the dash lights. But when I left my car, it was broad daylight. So I have no idea why I had my lights on anyway. It doesn't make any sense, but I was trying to put something in it last night, I needed to go get something out of it, and my key fob wasn't working. And so I realized that my battery was dead. I unlocked it manually with the key and saw that my lights were on. I don't know why. It's so irritating to me. And anyway, I had to wait out and flag some people down. Luckily, someone was nice enough to help me out, jump my car, but then I went and bought jumper cables. I used to have jumper cables, but then I got rid of them with a lot of car stuff when I moved because I just didn't have room for everything. But anyway, I now have a pair of jumper cables again. What else has been going on? Not much. Taking photos, just doing my thing. I'm actually kind of cold right now. I thought it was spring for a while. We had one day where it was almost 80 degrees, and now it's 52 degrees and super windy, and my nose is running, and it drives me crazy. I will be complaining about the wind a lot today. Sorry. Ugh, my God. All right, but what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon? Well, this week we will have the Glodora Pesse Cano Latakia Flake 20 full review on Patreon exclusively. That is the blend that was sent along by our good friend on Patreon, and it is a Turkish-made Turkish blend, a Balkan blend that was actually made in Turkey. So quite interesting. Check that out if you're a Patreon supporter. The week after that on YouTube and on Patreon, we will have a video on how generative AI has made film photography even more relevant now. So in the last decade or so, there's been kind of a resurgence of film photography. And now, because of generative AI and just the fact that there are so many fake photos that show up online, I have a whole video about why I think that's making film photography even more relevant than it was 2 or 3 years ago. And then after that, we will have a very interesting video on this. This is a Patreon exclusive video. This is Dobie's 4 Square Curlies. This is a 38-year-old tin of a very interesting blend that has not been produced for over 20 years, I think. This was sent to me by our good friend Ted Stryker, a Patreon supporter, and we have kind of a blend spotlight on a 38-year-old pipe blend, Dobie's 4 Square Curlies. So stay tuned. Lots of good stuff coming up on Stuff and Things and Stuff and Things Patreon. All right, so a quick book recommendation. Some of you will have heard me discussing the I never know how to pronounce this properly. So Le Carré, Le Carré, an author who wrote Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. There's kind of the whole Smiley series. I've read quite a few of his books. I've read The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. There's another one I'm forgetting. And then there's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Honorable Schoolboy, Smiley's People. I've got something in my mouth. Sorry, I don't know what that is. But I've read quite a few of his books, and I love them because they are Cold War era spy novels. And I love Cold War era spy novels. And a friend of mine actually recommended another author called Len Deighton. And I had never heard of this author before in my life. It's another British author. And he wrote a series of books that all have the same main character, Bernard Samson, or Bernard Samson if you are in the UK. And the first trilogy featuring this protagonist is the Game, Set, Match trilogy. So there is Berlin Game, Mexico Set, and London Match. And I have read Berlin Game, Mexico Set, and I am about halfway through London Match, and they're great. I love them. Again, they're Cold War era, whereas the Smiley books were kind of more early to mid 70s. These ones take place in the very early 80s. And Bernard Samson is a kind of jaded British intelligence service operative who used to be a field agent. He was brought up in Berlin, in West Berlin after World War II. And so he speaks German with native fluency with a Berlin accent, but his dad was British, and he works for MI5 now. MI6. Is MI5 the domestic and MI6 is foreign? Anyway. So he worked a lot in East Berlin. He was a field agent. Now he's kind of working at a desk job in London, and just all sorts of shenanigans start taking place. It's quite good. It's that perfect, dark, dingy, grimy, East Berlin, Cold War era spy novel. And the two books I've read so far have both been excellent. As you might suggest, or as the names might suggest, Berlin Game takes place, much of it in Berlin, East Berlin, and then also in London. Mexico Set, quite a bit of it takes place in Mexico, but then also in Berlin. It's mostly concerning East Germany. And then London Match has mostly been in London, but also in Berlin as well. So it's all that Cold War, Berlin Wall, good stuff. So if you liked any of the Smiley books, if you like just Cold War era spy novels in general, I would recommend the Len Deighton Game, Set, Match trilogy. And I think there are two other trilogies featuring Bernard Samson that he has written as well. Quite good, highly recommend. It is May 9th, and I am actually freezing. It is freezing cold out here because of the wind. The wind will not stop. So in spite of the weather that I'm experiencing right now, it is officially spring, and we have had some kind of spring weather here recently. And I just wanted to go over some of the shots that I've gotten with my film camera, with my Leica M4, which I have right here. Right now I've got my 50mm Leica Summicron Rigid from 1957. I have gone back to using mostly my 35mm, my Voigtlander, but I'm still using the 50 quite a bit as well. I was using exclusively for the 50 for several rolls just to kind of get used to it and see what it was like. So the pictures I'm going to be showing you here will be a mix of the 35mm and the 50mm. So let me just go through some of these shots. I should point out, I had doofus comment on a video I posted a while ago where it was the one where I had taken the trip to Seattle and I was just showing some of the pictures, and the person was like, I don't know why all you people listen to these idiots online trying to give you instructions on photography. Look at these pictures. They all suck. He was shooting at f/16. They're underexposed. He's got light leaks and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, doofus. First of all, this is not instructional. I'm just showing you pictures. I like to take pictures. It's my main hobby. I like doing photography as my hobby. And so I will show people pictures that I have taken. I'm not trying to teach people how to take pictures. I'm just talking about me taking pictures and showing the pictures. Second, none of them were shot at f/16. I don't know where he got that. Maybe some of them were, but I doubt it. Who cares if they were anyway? There were no light leaks. I don't think this person knows what a light leak is. Anyway, and none of them were underexposed. But I'm not trying to show you how to take pictures. I'm just showing you pictures. I think most of you understand that. So the other thing too is whenever I develop and look at all my pictures, I usually hate all of them. And then maybe after a day or two, I might not hate all of them, but I still don't really like any of them. I'm very hard on my own pictures, and I have trouble. It's very rare that I will look at negatives that I've taken, and once I've scanned them in, I'll be like, oh, that's great. That never happens. I usually hate them all, at least initially. So anyway, here's the first one. Get a little bit of the spring blossoms on this cherry tree. I was just going for kind of the texture of the blossoms, the building in the background, this kind of concrete face of this building here going across, kind of dividing the frame. I was kind of going for something there. I think it kind of works out. I like the juxtaposition of the blossoms with the concrete, the texture of the brick in the background. This one, if I see a weird little dog, I will probably take a picture of a weird little dog. And this is a very weird little dog that was just sitting on this table at an outdoor market. And he just has that look. I don't know what it is. The angry little dog look. So nothing particularly artistic about this, but I just like angry little dogs. Now that it is spring, the farmer's market has started again in downtown Bellingham on Saturday mornings, and this little guy who sits on a unicycle and juggles with a clown wig is at the farmer's market every Saturday, and I just thought I'd grab a picture of him entertaining some children. This one, there was a guy playing the Godfather theme on this weird little instrument. I don't even know what this is. It's some sort of strange, I wouldn't call it a woodwind instrument, but it is, I don't know what that is. I'm not sure, but I wanted to grab a picture of him, and then there was this guy just at the corner of the frame on the right-hand side, saw me taking the picture and pointed at me. I don't think I even noticed it when I was taking the picture, and it was just kind of a nice little surprise once I got it developed. Another angry little dog, which again, I just always like. And then I like the juxtaposition of the guy smiling from behind. I think he sees my camera and sees me taking the picture, so he's smiling. Or he might just be smiling at the person next to him, I'm not sure. But I like that. Angry dog, smiling man. Here, nothing groundbreaking, but I just liked the light and the shadows on this building, and then the sky with the clouds in the background. What do you call those kinds of clouds? I don't know, but I liked the juxtaposition. The juxtaposition, it's hard for me to even talk right now because my teeth are starting to chatter. I am so freaking cold. Ugh. I hate the wind. This one, so this person was not homeless. I wouldn't take this picture if this was a homeless person, but this was just a person who just got down on the ground and laid down with their legs sticking out from behind this wall. And so I just snapped this because I found it interesting, and I liked the long shadows that the trees and the signs and posts and everything were throwing there, and the shadow that kind of hits his feet there. Just thought strange behavior, so I'll snap a quick photo. Here's one of these two Canada geese. I like this because of the industrial, I think is that a water treatment plant, I think, behind them? And, you know, the landscape with the hill. I like the juxtaposition of the natural with the industrial there. And I just thought that goose looked rather handsome. Here's one. I was just out on the street, and this girl and her friend, she asked her friend to trim her bangs. This was just out on the sidewalk, and she happened to have this giant pair of like kitchen scissors and just started trimming her bangs. And I don't know, I just thought that was fun and interesting. I have another one here of the same thing. I think I like the first one a little bit more because of the guy walking into the frame. But yeah, I just like those little encounters on the street. Those are always fun for me. Here's one that I took out at a bar. We were celebrating a friend's birthday, and these are some guys who are friends of hers. I just like the flash indoors in a bar. I like that direct flash look. It looks really cool with the black and white, I think. And that's my Sunpack Auto 101 flash that I use with my Leica M4. Turned out well. Then this one I liked. It was actually taken out here, and it was actually a clear day, which happens sometimes in the Pacific Northwest. You can see a little bit of Mount Baker right in the middle of the frame in the background there, a cool volcanic mountain that we have here. And then the dead driftwood, the trees, some of the plants and the rocks. I just liked that as a landscape. More of the farmer's market, a man painting or drawing a woman. I just like the people, the scene. I like catching these kind of almost more documentary style, like this is what I'm doing, and this is what people are doing, and this is what spring is like in Bellingham at the farmer's market. Here's one at a place called Zwanich Point Park in Bellingham. There is a statue of a fisherman. It's kind of a memorial to fishermen. And I just liked getting some of the spring blossoms on the tree, the bench there, framing that statue in the negative space where the tree is. Worked kind of like a landscape, I thought. Worked kind of as a landscape. Here we have a pigeon. It was on this long pier. I just peeked down and he looked back at me and I snapped his picture really quickly. I just like the composition of this one, the framing. I like this. This is kind of a distant picture. I was out on the pier and I saw this dog. Every time I see someone who is walking their dog and the dog runs out into the surf, I just imagine them putting their dog in their car afterwards when they are all wet and smelling of sea water. Like, it just seems so gross to me, but I love it when dogs run out into the surf and they just bark at the world, I guess. Like, there wasn't anything it was looking at that it was barking at other than just the surf and the world in general. And then here I was out at the farmer's market again, and this couple was dancing to this kind of bluegrass band that was playing. And I just thought that was a nice little lively picture to get. I like the tents in the background, or the canopies, the people doing their shopping at the farmer's market, the musicians, the dancers. Just a nice little slice of life. And then this one where it looks like a guy is kicking this little dog. Obviously he's not, he is petting the dog with his foot, but I just kind of liked that composition. And then finally, someone has wired this little Superman doll to the front of the grille of their car, and I just liked that. And so I took a picture of it. I like the other car in the background, and just the tones of this one, especially with the black and white, just, I don't know. I like the light, I like the shadow, I like the Superman, I like his little fist in the air. And there you go. Those are from my recent spring rolls. Spring rolls, that sounds really good, actually. I will definitely have more. I've got another roll full. I'll be developing another one in a week or so. And I will maybe show you more in the future if there's anything good to show you. I am so annoyed by the wind. It is so cold. I am getting so angry. All right, gang, we need to wrap this up. Now it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, but you probably shouldn't because nobody does, and I never read Twitter/X anyway. If you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon. Go right to the front of the line. If you would like to, you can hit that super thanks button under this video and go right to the front of the line as I adjust my exposure. Or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos, just like our good friend Chad Curtis did. My teeth are actually chattering and I keep like biting my front teeth. It's driving me crazy. Chad Curtis says, I've been hoping you would try Curly Block. I think you're really going to enjoy it, without the hair, of course, haha. So you may have thought this was Curly Block. It is Foursquare Curly. So sorry to disappoint you. I may try Curly Block at one point. I just did that to my teeth again. Use your Ulu knife to cut the coins off. It works well. Thank you for that, and thank you for the knife. At Ledger and Lay says, oh my God, that concert footage, so I showed concert footage of the Cribs when I got to see them live in Seattle. It reminds me of the original 930 Club in DC from back in the day. The last band I saw there was 5440, a Canadian band, big in Canada. 5440, so they must have been fans of James Polk, the president, who wanted 5440 or fight. So basically the border between the US and Canada where I am is on the 49th parallel, but we wanted to go all the way up to the 5440, which, you know, we probably should have. You guys would have been better off in British Columbia if you were a part of the US anyway, but we settled for the 49th parallel. But we do have, it's so weird. So we don't have any of Vancouver Island, even though the 49th parallel cuts through Vancouver Island. I would have liked to have had Vancouver Island. But we also have, there's a little place called Point Roberts. Look at a map of Washington. 49th parallel cuts off, and there's this little bit of land called Point Roberts that is US, but you have to go through Canada to get to it. Interesting. How much more can I say about notebooks? There are so many channels who do nothing but journals and planners. I would get bored too. That's part of why I stopped making videos. I could do more videos on wax seals, but there's a channel that does nothing but wax seals. Yeah, so I was just talking about how everyone's trying to send me notebooks all the time, and I just have to keep saying no, because unless it's something really unique or different, I just feel like another notebook with a soft cover, how much more can I say? Next, Flint Hills Briar Gareth says, white balance in photography is like guitar effects pedals. There's no wrong way to produce art, and art often usually isn't about reproducing nature in its natural form, just like toppings on pipe teas. Yes. Speaking of guitar pedals, we may do something more on that soon. I'm thinking of kind of revamping my pedal board, so stay tuned for that. We'll see. At Flint Hills Briar Gareth says, oh no, that's the one I just read. At Ashes of the Phoenix says, I like how you sounded like you had a British accent when you were doing doot, 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 doot. I wonder if I have, I won't play it. I was gonna prove to you that the British people doot, 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 for guitar lines in songs, and I actually have a Crib song that's live from the UK, and you can hear people doing that on it, but I'd have to go through a bunch of stuff to show you. But yeah, it's a weird thing that they do in the UK. I don't mind people doing it. They seem to be having fun, but it's just so strange that instead of just singing along with the lyrics, they will actually doot-de-doot along with the guitar lines with a British accent. Alan Ritchie says, I wish I had known about the Cribs touring. I just missed them in Portland. Sorry to hear that. It was a great, great show. All right, and then we have some feedback on why and how I organize my film negatives and the digital files of my negatives. Sounds boring. It's not boring. It's actually very interesting. Some of you watched it, but I think some of you did think it was going to be boring and didn't watch it. We have Les Brady via Patreon who says, it is important. Thank you, Les. I've been a writer for about 40 years, and I literally have files named this one and that one. Not very helpful when I'm looking for the notes I've written on my second novel that I know I saved. I'm still planning on going through the curriculum vitae and organizing something when it rains. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to avoid in the future here. I want to have all of my stuff properly cataloged, all my film stuff. At Ultra Classic 01 HD says, well, back in the days, BDCE, before Digital Common era, it was putting developed film in the same type of sleeve and making a contact sheet which would go behind the negatives in a binder. However, with digital images, your file system is excellent. So yeah, I kind of consider my digital files as sort of my digital contact sheet. I don't need to make a contact sheet because I have them digitized. At Michael Picarda says, what brand negative film digitizer are you using? I am using camera scanning. So I'm using the same camera. Here's my exposure again. The same camera that I am using to record this video. It is my Canon R6. I can't tell what's going on. And I use, maybe I'll do a video on this once at some point. I don't use a flatbed scanner. I actually am taking photos of the negatives and using that. At Flint Hills Briar Gareth again says, nice system. I've been keeping notes in my phone for all my film shots simply to keep track of how I'm using colored filters on certain photos. It wouldn't be much of a step up to actually create an actual record of my photos. And yeah, I probably should get a physical logbook. I do like paper and pen better than digital screens, even if they are convenient. Yeah, and I just use a little, oh, I don't have it with me right now because this is my other camera bag, but I just use a little leather-bound Me Plus notebook that is perfect for keeping a log. I just do it for each roll. I don't individually make note of every single picture I take, but just important stuff for each roll. All right, gang, thanks for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. But now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support Stuff and Things on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. In these days of low YouTube revenue and weird stuff going on with views and everything, your support on Patreon is basically the only thing that allows me to keep making these videos. If you like anything that I post on YouTube and you'd like to see it early and ad-free, $5 a month gets you in on Patreon. If you used to like any of the pipe stuff that I used to post on, man, a lot of P's. If you used to like any of the pipe stuff that I used to post on YouTube, that all has to go to Patreon now. New stuff, pipe stuff goes there. Old pipe stuff is being transferred over there. Every Thursday we have a video from the archive of an old pipe blend review. Again, $5 a month gets you in, gets you access to all that good stuff. Every week, we like to shout out those who support Stuff and Things at $25 or more a month, the producers of Stuff and Things. People like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, Chris Caughey, Ryan McFadin, Ted Stryker, and GandalfTheGrey. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support Stuff and Things at $100 a month. People like our good friend, Bob Magee. Now, gang, normally I would tell you what you can look forward to exclusively on Patreon this week. You will have on Monday, Glodora Pese Cano Latakia Flake 20 review. And from the archives, I think, I forgot to write it down, but I think it might be Gawith Beginner's Luck, a really weird, interesting blend that you don't hear much about these days. If I'm wrong, I might be wrong. If I am wrong, just stay tuned on Thursday, because that's when that will post on Patreon, the From the Archives video. But gang, I have been shivering and my teeth have been chattering. The sun actually looks like it might be coming out now, which is kind of exciting. I'm hoping the wind will die down a little bit. I would like to get out and take some photos and do some stuff without having to wear a coat, because that is what spring is supposed to be about. But stay tuned for all the good stuff coming up on YouTube and on Patreon. Thank you all for writing in, for being a part of the show. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later. Wind!